Hey guys, it's Tricia here of triciasitemere.com, and I hope you are having a phenomenal day. I am back with another conversation for our topic for the month of July, which is taking the leap. The point or the reason that I'm having these conversations is because there are everyday people doing extraordinary things every single day and taking the leap. So I want to share what their journeys have been, what types of things they've thought about before taking the leap, so that you know, as you are thinking about different things that you want to do on your personal journey, that you can, and that any things that you're considering or things that you're curious about are perfectly normal, and that you do have a space to talk about them. So my guest today, we go way back. This is just, it's amazing because I've been able to catch up with her before this recording, but we go way back to my good days at the University of Texas at Arlington. That's where we first met. And it's just been phenomenal to see her go through her own journey and witness her taking some of the leaps that I hope that she will share with us today. So Aisha, thank you so much for joining me. I'll let you introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about all of the things, all of your greatness, and then we'll jump right in.
Okay. My name is Aisha, and I'm a Dallas native, born and raised here. In a nutshell,
Yes.
I do a lot of creative things, and then I do a lot of things that deal with wellness. And so on the creative side, that's photography, graphic design, visuals, helping people present themselves better when it comes to their businesses and their brands. And then on the wellness side, I host a wellness conference. I do wellness events. I'm in school to be a licensed professional therapist. And then I produce a plant-based feminine care and skincare line. So that's the gist of all of the things. And then if you need a space to create in, then I have an event space where people can rent it for gatherings or workshops or whatever you would need a space for. So that's probably it in a nutshell.
Okay, that's a big nutshell. That's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
You're a very, very busy lady. So your journey, I guess, in taking the leap, or the leap that I'm thinking of when I think of you, is Honeybee Natural, which was your natural hair magazine, which has grown and developed and morphed over time. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like before that and how you got ready to take the leap?
Okay. I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. So before Honeybee Natural, I actually used to make jewelry through a company called Yasa Jewelry. Yasa standing for "You Are So Amazing," and I used to carry this big ass jewelry cart around campus. So probably when Tricia met me, I was probably rolling that thing around.
Yes.
Just a big bag of beads. Like, I guess people were just gonna place orders as I was walking around the campus. I don't know. It's so crazy. I would just form these attachments to things, and like those things have to come with me every day, everywhere. And so I started Yasa Jewelry, I think, during the transition from high school to college, because I remember using the money that I had made from Yasa Jewelry to pay for my first college class. And it was like a community college course. And I was so excited because I had made I think the courses were like $250 at the time. And I'm like, oh my God, like my company paid for a class. And so I can't really explain what even made me start the jewelry company. I've kind of always been one of those people, like, I don't have any earrings. Okay, I'm going to go to the store and buy supplies and make me some. Like, I've kind of just always been that kind of person. And that was the same thing with Honeybee Natural. Like I went natural and I didn't see a lot of literature or media about women with natural hair. And I knew for myself, it was a struggle, like getting adjusted and getting used to my face and my hair texture. And I was just like, whoa. So I started the magazine thinking it would bring people together. And somebody challenged me to do it. Like, can you have this done in 6 months? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, I can learn in 6 months. And so that's kind of what I did. Like I learned graphic design. I learned like simple publishing, had a launch party and like put it out there. I had like a team at the time. I just did it. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, like I just did it. I see a need or I see a problem or I see something I feel like can help someone and then I just do it.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Wear of many hats. So you were like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to figure out all of the different pieces and go from there. And I remember, I think I bought something from Yasa Jory, and then I was at your launch party for Honeybee. And I just remember before the launch, you were doing a lot of different things to get ready for, this particular event. Was there anything that like you were scared about or you were nervous about?
Yes. So I actually had to rent a space to have my lunch party. And so finding somewhere where I could have an event that wasn't pricey was probably the hardest thing. And luckily I had a friend who was a photographer and he just gave me the keys to his space for like $300. Now at the time, I'm like, that is a lot of freaking money, like $300, know? And so I don't even know how I found the money. I don't know if I worked an extra job or what I did to get that money. I can't remember if I borrowed it, but I just paid it and he gave me the keys. Like that was the hardest thing. Everything else, I feel like people kind of volunteered. Like the vendors that I had, I think they paid like $20 to show up. That kind of helped with cost. Music, I can't even music.
Your dad.
Yeah, my dad came and played. And then this guy that I work with, he actually DJed for free. So I had people who came out of the woodworks to help me, and I was just kind of floored. I feel like we had snacks or something of some kind. I feel like somebody volunteered those. I think I cried more from the people helping than like the event itself. And I think the biggest lesson for that was not being afraid to tell people like, I don't have all this shit together and like, this is what I need. And I learned to be that person from then. Like on social media, if I need something for a business, or I'm not afraid to say like, look, I'm having this event. I thought 20 people was gonna come, only 5 people registered. Like, I don't have any money. Like, I'm not afraid now to say those things because I feel like somebody's gonna come through. Even with the conference that I host now, like last year, I remember having to say like, I don't know what's going on with the tickets, but I don't have enough supplies. And I had this lady out of Florida. She sent me a message and she was like, whatever you need, like I got it. And she meant it. And she went on Amazon, bought supplies for like a workshop that I was having, and she mailed it. And then she sent a text and was like, if there's anything else you need, let me know. Like, so yeah, I'm just not afraid. I learned from Honeybee Natural to not be afraid to say like, I need help.
Okay.
And yeah, putting those pieces together for that event was a lot. I think everyone was a volunteer. Draylon, I think he did photos for the free. Like everybody like came through.
I think I made like something for like giveaways, and like I was doing something else at the time, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna put something in for this. People came out of the woodworks, and I think when I think about what Honeybee Natural started out as, it was a resource for women to embrace their inner beauty and themselves naturally. And I think it was very unique during the times we were in, and I think people just supported it. But I also think it's very connected to my purpose too. I think if it would have been something completely strange or not like me, even though I didn't fully know myself, I don't think I would have had as much
much support. Like sometimes people can see things in you that you can't see quite yet, you know?
Yeah.
And so they're supporting that journey.
Okay. Love that. And, you know, I'm so excited that I was able to be a part of you taking that leap. That was, oh my gosh, how many years ago?
I started Honeybee Natural in 2012. I think the launch party was in 2013, and I think like 100 people showed up, which was a big deal.
Yes, I remember it was a full space. So that's 2013, and now it is 2020. So I'm sure there has been lots of things that you've had to consider in that 7-year period where you're like, okay, you know, maybe this isn't happening the way that I thought it would maybe happen, or hey, I thought this would be the vision for this, but now that things are happening a certain way, I need to pivot. So was there ever a time where you're like, okay, I've taken this leap and, you know, things are kind of moving, but I now need to take a step back, or this isn't working, or I'm kind of out of sorts here, I don't know what to do? Did you have any of those types of experiences?
What? So what is that? 6 years, 6 or 7 years with Honeybee Natural? Honeybee Natural has probably only made me a couple of $1,000. Okay. And so before, I was putting all my energy into Honeybee Natural, but what people were calling me for the most was for photography. And I started improving my photography skills because of Honeybee Natural. I was a journalism major in undergrad, and so they gave us intro photography classes, but not commercial photography, which is what I actually do now. And so I bought a camera to be able to take photos for Honeybee Natural because I couldn't afford to pay our volunteer-ish photographer every month for a session. Right. And so I picked up a camera, and every time I would take photos, people would ask me on the side, well, did you take those? Well, can you take photos of me and my kids? Or can you take photos of me and my family? Or I need some photos of myself. Can you do those? And I'm like, okay, you know, that's fine. And then also because Honeybee Natural was a natural hair magazine, I would go to a lot of natural hair events, which in Dallas, we used to have a crap load of natural hair events. And so I would show up with my camera and I would take photos for free and I would post them on social media, and like people would be so proud, like, you took photos of my event, like, thank you. I didn't know those people came, or I didn't know people were having that, you know, that great of a time. I feel like in Dallas, as far as photography goes with natural hair events, Honeybee Natural was a game changer in like showing people what photography can do for your brand at an event. And I think for me providing that service to people, trying to help people better their events and the attendees have a better experience through memories, people just started booking me through photography. So photography actually became the thing that made me the most money, and Honeybee Natural was kind of like the sidekick that introduces you to the person who you actually marry, you know. It's like
the wingman.
The wingman, you know. So like that's how I view Honeybee Natural. Like, okay, and she's a person, so like, okay, girl, thank you, you know, for the platform, for the network, for the opportunity to, you know, have these other talents that were the thing that actually made me and the team, you know, when I had a team, the resource that gave us the resources that we needed
to pivot, right? So you felt like it was a natural pivot. So, you know, you had this idea for Honeybee Natural. You saw that it wasn't going in the direction that maybe you thought it would, or wasn't producing you the revenue that you wanted. And then you pivoted. So like, I know that whenever I have an idea that I'm super passionate about, like at one point I had a cleaning and organization business, secondly, lifestyle management. And, you know, the decision to take a step back from that, I remember feeling like not a failure, because like the business was doing really well, but the way that my life was going, I didn't have the bandwidth, and it was just a little bit too big for me to manage at the time. But, you know, deciding that, hey, I'm not going to do this right now, or I need to take a step back. I have failed, or this hasn't worked out. Did you ever feel that way about, Honeybee Natural, just because it didn't necessarily turn out the way that it had when you initially had the thought in your head?
Absolutely. And I cried a lot of tears because I do believe in consistency, and I believe that sometimes consistency can take you further than a lot of things. And I did not want to be that person that gave up.
Flaky.
And so, yeah, and that was flaky. And so I turned Honeybee Natural into a lot of things. Like, first it was hair, and then it was like hair and poetry, and then it was like, hair and other things, and then it was natural hair and something else, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna put mindfulness drawings in there too, and then and nothing worked. And I think you really have to get to a point to where the pivot is greater than whatever that feeling is that you have that's attached to the passion. Like, the pivot has to be greater than the passion or whatever it is you're feeling. And when I got to that point, it didn't matter. It was like, you know what, this is actually not a really enjoyable experience for me. Like, when people fall through, like the team falls through, like I end up writing the articles, I'm doing all the pictures, I'm doing all the design. Like, wait a minute, does this even make me happy? And I think once I got to that point, I'm like, girl, you don't even really, you care about hair, but you really care about the mindset, like when it comes to accepting who you really are. And like, if someone is struggling in accepting who they are, you really care more about giving them the tools to get to acceptance. Like, and somebody had to tell me that's wellness. And I'm like, oh. And so once I got to that, then it was just like, pivoting was just, it's like, you got to do it.
Focus.
Yeah. But as long as you're still attached to it, how I was, it's really hard to pivot because you don't even know that you need to, because you're still like gung ho on, every month I'm gonna produce a new magazine about hair, Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It was very, very difficult. But I met a lot of great people. I'm sure I helped a lot of women, the ones who were following and reading, and I think it served its purpose in that time, and I think what it becomes will serve a greater purpose. Like,
okay, yeah, I love that. So in deciding that you would pivot, so obviously for you it was kind of a natural progression, because like the photography was pulling you, and Honeybee was not pulling you. It was like, okay, I need to be moving this way. Like, what are some of the conversations that maybe you had with people that were close to you that, kind of gave you that maybe reassurance, or like what kind of conversations were you having where you were like, okay, this is what I think, this is the direction that I want to take my next leap in. What were some of those conversations, and how did you maybe approach them?
Well, every time I had a bright idea, I would just mention it, and like people would be like, yeah, that's a great idea, which really didn't help. So, and that happened for years. It was just like, okay, let's make a kids edition, so now it's like a grown-up edition to kids. And when I think about it, it's like, you're already struggling to do this one, now why would you add two? I was just fishing, and I really didn't have someone wiser than me to help me really pivot. I feel like I was just kind of shifting. It's like those people, well, I'm kind of like this, but I don't like to fold clothes, so I just kind of move my clothes and like putting them up and putting them in the closet. So I feel like I was just shifting things around. And a couple of years ago, Antoine, someone we went to college with, majored in marketing. I don't know how his name dropped in my lap or my mind or whatever. It was like, call Antoine. I'm like, okay. And I called Antoine, and like, he helped me pivot. If Honeybee Natural isn't making you income, the thing that is making you the income, we need to somehow shift our focus there and have Honeybee Natural kind of sustain itself, So now it's I feature women who own businesses and that talk about acceptance and self-love and self-care, but I'm not doing all of the work. And then it kind of runs itself so that I can focus on what makes me more income, and then the thing that I actually really care about, which is wellness and mental health.
Cool.
So it was somebody wiser than me, really, because everybody in my circle was just like, yeah, girl, that's a great idea. Yeah, girl, that's good. Yeah, girl, do it. You know, and you want those people, but you also want, sometimes you want that person that helps you get out of the hole.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Who's like, okay, maybe we should think about this a different way. Okay. So you got, I mean, I don't want to say lucky, but you know, the name fell into your lap. Like, for someone who is not so lucky, like, how would you maybe recommend for them to find this person? Like, I think we were having another conversation that, like, sometimes you reach out to people and they are not as open to sharing, or for whatever reason, you know, they don't end up giving you what maybe you were looking for or what you were needing at the time. So how does one seek out someone who can be that person and say, hey, look at it this way. Hi, Tinka. So, you know, what would you recommend there?
So there were times when I would reach out to people and they would tell me no. And you have to keep asking. And you also have to research. Like, sometimes I study people. You know, I take a moment and I look on people's platforms and websites and see what content they're producing and just see how they are before I ask. And sometimes I just ask. And eventually I got okay with the no's because I knew at some point someone was going to say yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did. Even with, you know, the e-commerce line with the cosmetics, you know, some people were not willing to give me the scoop and other people were. And you just have to know that a yes is going to come. It may not be from the person who you thought, or it may not come in the way that you thought. But I feel like if that's what you're putting out into the atmosphere, then it'll come for sure. You got to keep asking.
Stay persistent and
you
committed.
Gotta stay persistent. Yeah, and you can't have an attitude, you know, because no one owes you anything. And sometimes we feel like they owe me this because I'm starting this, you know, they owe it to me. And it's like, they don't. It would be nice if they
would be.
told you, but technically they don't owe you. So, you know, keep a happy continence. I think that's the word, you know, positive mindset about it.
Yes.
And if someone says no, like, go to the next person and, like, do not give up. You can't let those people win. Like, those no people that don't want to share, those mean ass people, like, you can't let them win.
I agree. I agree 100%. Like, anytime someone reaches out to me, they're like, hey, can you give me the rundown? Like, I get a lot of questions around publishing a book. Like, how did you start writing? What was the writing process look like? And when I was going through the writing process, like, there wasn't really anyone that I could ask. And so, like, I did do a lot of trial and error. I did do a lot of reaching out to different publishing companies and, like, reading different author pages and things like that until I could figure things out on my own. But I think part of it is, you know, one, not being deterred by the no, but also being able to share that information with, you know, other people that are looking to, you know, advance themselves or do something on their own, time permitting, right? Because it's like, everyone is busy, and, you know, it goes back to your point, like, nobody owes you anything, but you do want to be able to help other people.
Call people. Yeah, no, I'm an open book all the time. My phone number is open. It's just email is open. But that's because I know how hard it is. You know, I did a lot of things the hard way. You know, sometimes if someone would tell me no, I wouldn't always have the time to go find someone else that would help me. So I would have to figure it out, especially if I had a pressing deadline. So it was tough. Like, I can tell people what not to do when it comes to a lot of things. Just because it was so tough. Like, people are assholes. I mean, some people they just really can be assholes.
Point blank.
Like, why are you so mean? Like, what the heck? I just asked you, like, what mascara was, and people just can be like that. So staying persistent for sure.
Very cool. All right, I think I've asked you quite a few questions. Like, what are your general thoughts on taking a leap? Does Aisha have a mantra around taking risks, betting on yourself, taking the leap?
Yes, so I'm actually really resourceful. Like, I don't believe in taking leaps in like sending yourself into financial debt.
Okay.
So with all of my projects and companies, whatever, I don't have any debt with them. So in addition to being resourceful, in addition to asking for help or figuring things out, I try to do it with spending the least amount of money and having a good quality product.
Right.
And I had to learn that over time.
Right.
That once you get there, it'll pay for itself. But like, don't just drop $900 or $1,000 or whatever into your brand new idea, like
Right.
that you're still researching and like you still don't have all the answers. I couldn't put that in mantra form, but like, yeah.
Just don't go into financial ruin.
Yeah, being resourceful for sure. And then once you figure out who you are and what your purpose is, doing things that align with that. Like, I get asked to do things all the time, and now I'm to the point to where I can tell people no. Like, for example, I got a message from a lady and she was like, hey, I got a podcast about relationships, and like, I'm doing this segment on testing someone during the dating process before you commit to them. Do you want to jump on?
Mm-hmm.
No.
That doesn't align.
Yeah, I'll be a
listener, yeah,
downloader, whatever person for you, but like, no, because I'm thinking about that 30 minutes to an hour is going to take to prep for this. I'm thinking about the hour it's going to take to record, and I'm sure you're going to have some kind of dialogue, follow-up questions, whatever. Yeah. And this is not even aligned with the things that I care about. And I don't think you should give people hell if you're dating. Like, just date somebody else. Like
just be a good person.
Pick another person, because you definitely don't like that one.
Right.
It just didn't align with what I do. And so I am super, super big on that. Like, and when you're up and coming, sometimes you feel like every opportunity is like, this is going to be it.
Grasp for it. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Give yourself time to sit with the information. If it's a couple days, a couple weeks, if you have that, like, and really think about, does this align with where I'm trying to go?
Being intentional. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Well, I appreciate you sharing, just your perspective. Like, you have a very interesting journey, and like, I've had a front row seat in kind of seeing how things have grown and developed and how you've pivoted, and like, just am really excited about all of the things that you have done and that you will continue to do in the future. So I'm super excited. Tell everybody how they can keep up with you and, participate in all of your greatness.
So, Instagram, the Aisha Gaines, and my name is spelled Isha. My last name is Gaines, Gaines. So the Aisha Gaines has most of everything that I do, plus my cute puppy that you saw. And the cosmetic company Aloe Curves is ALOE curves. Building that platform. So any type of follow and support would be awesome. Okay. That's about it.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in to, I guess this is what, Trust Tricia TV now. These little conversations.
Yeah, Trust Tricia TV.
And of course, I want to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts, you know where to find me. ts@triciasitemere.com. Feel free to like, comment, and share this conversation, and there will be another one coming out pretty soon. But in the meantime, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Onward and upward.